All right, so we are live on YouTube, and we're about to be live on Facebook.
Hey, Facebook group, we are going to be starting our class here in just a minute. So if you have questions about how a VA loan works, stick around. There's a lot to learn. Hopefully we'll be able to answer those. You can reach out to us afterwards. Hey guys, welcome to the VA Masterclass. We're super excited to have you here. We're going to get started in just a second. We've got a lot of people signing in right now. One of the things I do want you to notice, though, on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a chat box. Go ahead, tell us, tell us hello. More importantly, tell us where you're coming in from, city and state. That'll help as we go through this presentation because there's certain things that I like to address in different areas. So I know we still have people signing in right now, so we'll give it just a second. And then we'll do some introductions and get ready to go here. So, all right, there we go. Good afternoon. Yeah, I get the question all the time. Are we live? It is, what is today? The 4th of January. Yes, we're live right now. All right, there we go. Chicago on the board. I see you. Columbus, Georgia, right outside of the lovely land of Fort Benning, which is where I joined the military from. Cleveland, Ohio. Nice. Nice. All right, cool. So you guys got it. You guys see we're coming in. All right. So with me, I have Patton Gade. Patton Gade is an absolutely incredible loan officer. He's actually my boss. So I have extra pressure today to do an outstanding job. But Patton's going to be manning the chat box. So as you guys have questions, definitely ask him. He will get you the best answer known. We'll try. He'll be there at the end. We'll do kind of a Q&A session as well. So, Patton, are you ready to get started? You're muted.
I'm ready, and my dog is going to tear up my whole studio here as we're waiting.
Nice.
So I'm gonna turn off my camera and let's rock and roll.
All right, man. Let's do it. All right, guys. My name is David Smith. I'm one of the senior leaders of the VA team at Loan Depot. My background: I'm former Army, right out of Fort Benning, as I already mentioned. I served a total of 8 years in the military. I was an 11 Charlie, which is an infantry mortarman. I absolutely loved the military. Unfortunately, I got injured. I had to get out, and I moved into real estate. I've been a licensed real estate agent in Texas now for 20 years. But realistically, for the last 11 years, I've been on the mortgage side of the house. I spent half of that time with USAA. The other half of that time, I've done a lot of traveling, teaching real estate agents, teaching consumers, going on to military bases. This is one of my favorite things to do is talk about the VA loan and how all of this stuff works. More importantly, I'm a part of an incredible team at Loan Depot. It's called the VA team. My entire team is ex-military. Patton Gade is the one who's here with us today. He's a West Point graduate, commanding officer from the Army. He was also a Black Hawk helicopter pilot, and he is a rock star VA loan officer. So he's here with us today, definitely asking questions. He is one of the most intelligent people around VA I've ever been around. So he'll answer anything you guys got. So we're going to talk about all kinds of things today, right? A little bit about the VA history, some of the common myths that are out there, different questions that we get. VA 101, I'm going to share with you some different scenarios so you guys know what you're up against out there in the field, who qualifies for a VA loan, more importantly, who doesn't, and then ultimately how to win VA deals. So as a real estate agent, I know that the VA, kind of that VA stigma that's out there sometimes causes problems. We're going to talk about how to overcome some of those objections in different areas where we know things are successful. So at the end, there will be a test. So this is one of those certification courses you're going through. We're going to get you a certificate of completion, a bunch of marketing material, all kinds of things to help you in your business, help you help the different veterans that are out in the community. And I promise you this: if you take just a handful of notes, you will pass the test with flying colors. It is designed to pass, not fail. So before I go any further, I always like to find out a little bit about our group here. So first question I have for you: have you or a member of your immediate family served in the military? So by immediate family, I like to say grandmother, grandfather, mom, dad, brother, sister, spouse, son, or daughter. And on a pretty big course like this, and we're also live on Facebook, live on YouTube, on a course like this, national, you guys will probably be north of 70% of you have military in your direct family. Yeah, right off the bat, you guys are at 78%. So there you go. Nice. Cool. Ooh, climbing 82%. Awesome. All right, so here's the second question. If you personally served, tell me what branch. If you did not personally serve, it's the last answer. So for all of you who did serve, what branch? What kind of class do we have today? Army's on the board. Strong. Here we go. Looks like Navy's on the board. There you go. Welcome to the club. Did you watch the Army-Navy game? Nice. That was actually a good one this year. All right, Army's on the board, strong. Navy's on the board. Marines are on the board. Looks like everybody else did not serve. But hey, here's what's awesome. There is a lot of folks here who did serve. So thank you for your service. Thanks for joining us. I hope you guys learn a bunch too. So what makes VA loans great? This is where I always like to start off, right? So when we talk about serving in the military, there are all kinds of incredible benefits that we earn for serving our country, right? Obviously, there's a VA healthcare system, eye care, dental care, all kinds of things like that. We have, just incredible benefits like the GI Bill for education. But one of the best benefits that we earn is something called the VA loan. And the VA loan is absolutely extraordinary. And today, you guys are going to learn about all the changes that have happened with this thing. But here's the real deal. 22 million people have the authorization rights to actually use the VA loan. 22 million people can use this, right? Unfortunately, we know that only about 13% actually are. So what happened to the other, let's call it 20 million people? Why are so many people not taking advantage of this program? I think it boils down to a handful of things. Number one, there's a gigantic lack of education from the veteran themselves. Most of us have no idea how this thing works. We don't even know that we're eligible. We don't understand any of it. Secondly, we also know that a lot of folks are being guided a different direction. You're using a different mortgage program that may not be as advantageous as VA because there's, quite frankly, a stigma that's been out there for a long time. That's the thing that we have to change today. This is why we lead with education so that people understand what makes this benefit so extraordinary, right? So I always like to start off and let's talk about what it is, where it came from, how it works, right? The VA mortgage program is a revision of the Servicemen's Readjustment Act in 1944. Test question. During which war was the VA loan created? Guys, it was created right in the middle of World War II. In 1944, what was really happening is we were starting to see people coming back from overseas, right? And they wanted to get back to a more normal style of life. They wanted to calm down and buy homes and all of those things. But unfortunately, the way that the mortgage programs worked in 1944, almost no one was going to qualify for the traditional mortgages, right? And so the government stepped in and they said, we have to do something to help our veteran community. So they created the Servicemen's Readjustment Act. Now, when they first established this, it was actually made up of 5 total components, 2 of which are still prevalent today. The VA home loan, of course, and the GI Bill was established at the same time. The GI Bill is for education. Here's what's extraordinary. This is one of the first times ever that our government really wanted to recognize those defending our country. They wanted us to be homeowners. They wanted us to be business owners. They wanted to help us seek secondary education. And all of this was extraordinary and it was revolutionary, right? But when it comes to the VA home loan itself, the actual VA home loan, this thing has changed almost every single year since 1944. Now, some years it's been very minor. There was a change that just happened 3 days ago, right? Some years it's been very minor. But over the course of time, there's been a handful of times where they have completely revamped the program. They've redone it. And this is where I think a lot of the confusion kicks in, right? Is this thing kind of is always changing. So a lot of people remember the old rules, right? There's one thing that's never changed. It's what is the VA home loan, right? The most basic understanding, or the easiest way I can say this, is that the VA, the government, makes a guarantee to the mortgage company for 25% of the loan. What does this mean? What it means is the VA is a promise from the government to the mortgage company. If that veteran goes into default, so foreclosure or a short sale situation, something like that, the VA will pay the mortgage company the first 25%. So in essence, the VA is an insurance policy, right? What is it not? The VA is not the entity that funds this transaction at the closing table. So when you guys actually go to buy a home, the VA is not sending money to the title company. That's the mortgage company's job. The VA acts as an insurance company to us. So why is this so important? Here's why. Because the VA is an insurance policy, basically, right? It has greatly reduced the mortgage company's risk. We have a 25% guarantee from the federal government that if something goes wrong on this loan, we're going to at least get that back, right? Now, why is this really important? Because VA says we reduced your risk as a lending institution. You have to do something special for our veterans. And here's what it is. Number one, you are going to provide 100% financing. Now, listen to me. I told you that program changes all the time, right? This is one of the greatest changes that ever happened. On January 1st of 2020, so 3 years ago, right? The VA said a veteran can now get 100% financed for anything they can financially qualify for. We are no longer capped for the first time ever. I know Patton and our team, we've already closed transactions that have been $2 million, $3 million. I think Patton, what was it, $4.5 million last year? That was 100% financed because that's what their income could justify. This was huge, monumental, right? Number two, VA loans have very competitive interest rates with the other mortgage programs that are out there. In fact, VA is usually the best interest rate offering that's out there, but it is always going to be competitive. And I've been in real estate for a very long time, and I have heard countless times, oh, don't go VA. The VA rates are really high. Guys, that is absolutely false. VA is very competitive, and usually it's the best. And then number three, one of the most important things about a VA loan is what it doesn't have. It does not have PMI. There is no mortgage insurance. This is huge. Why? Because they're getting 100% financed. So now we're not paying for fees that don't make sense to us. The VA says no PMI on a VA loan, right? So what does this mean? It means that a veteran has more buying power with their actual cash, number one. Number two, every time they make a payment, more money is going to principal, which is how you build wealth, right? So this is an extraordinary piece of this program. Mortgage insurance, I'll show you mathematically here in a minute as to how fast that actually adds up. But next, I want to talk about the top questions that I get asked. So I told you I travel around. We've trained well over 22,000 real estate agents, just like you guys sitting here today. We've trained probably 10,000 plus veterans and active duty soldiers. We get asked the same questions a lot. And I want to make sure that you guys have the right answer when you're out there, because you're going to get asked these questions, I promise. Number one, the first question that I get asked is, can I use my VA loan more than once? Guys, the answer is yes. So many people think that this is a one and done program or it's a first time home buyers program. That is false. And once a veteran has earned the right to use their VA loan, they can use it on every home purchase they want to, right? Number two, does the VA home loan benefit expire? Not anymore. There was a point in time where it did. So a lot of people who served in the military, say, let's call it the Vietnam era or before, the VA loan did expire at that time. But that has been eliminated. And once someone has this benefit, they have it the rest of their life, right? Can I have multiple active VA loans at the same time, right? Can I actually have multiple houses with VA loans on them? Believe it or not, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. And I'll show you what that looks like a little bit later, right? Is there a size limit to the VA home loan? Well, you guys just learned this. That went away 3 years ago. There's no longer a size limit. It's what can they financially qualify for, right? Does a service-connected disability affect the VA home loan in any way? The answer is yes. And I'm going to talk about it in the next segment. It's a very, very significant piece of information you guys need to know. Can I use my VA loan while I'm on active duty? Guys, this question comes up a lot more than you think. So all of you who are right by a military base, the answer is yes. Yes. In fact, there was an entire group of people who were told that while they're on active duty, that the VA loan is only for veterans. It's not for those currently serving. That is false, right? Of course, they can use it while they're serving. I'll show you what that looks like as well, right? Now, this one's a big one. National Guard and Reserves. National Guard and Reserves, do they qualify for the VA home loan? I will tell you specifically, this National Guard group, the greatest majority of folks I talk to who are National Guard, they say no. The answer, of course, is yes. And I'll show you what their rules look like. But you're going to see a lot of these folks, the answer is really yes, and they don't even know it. So, Matt, will you give them this download, please? So here's all the questions that we get asked. If you go above the chat box, you can download this, use it as some of your marketing material. These are the questions we get asked all the time with the actual right answers. Trust me, if you give that to a veteran or somebody who's serving our country currently, they will appreciate getting that. So staple your business card to it, co-brand it. It works. Okay. All right. Next thing that people are going to ask about, they're going to bring it up to you because they don't understand it. They're going to say, what is the funding fee? Funding fee is unique only to VA loans. So the VA funding fee is a fee that is paid directly to the government, right? It is a one-time fee per transaction that the veteran has to pay. Okay. It's basically you're paying to utilize this program. A mortgage company cannot make a profit off of the funding fee. Every single company has to charge the exact same thing, right? Now, the test question is, when is the funding fee due? That answer is at closing. Never, ever, ever before. It is a closing cost. Make sense? So the biggest question I get from my real estate partners is, how do we account for this funding fee thing, right? So there's 3 traditional ways to pay the funding fee. Number 1, the buyer can pay it themselves. It is what's called an allowable cost. They can actually pay it as a closing cost themselves. Number 2, the seller can often pay for it, right? And I get it. For the last 3 or 4 years, a lot of sellers don't want to negotiate a whole lot, but that's starting to turn. We have seen in the past where sellers will pay the funding fee. It's just a part of the negotiations, right? And then number 3, one of the most important things about the funding fee is that it can always be rolled into the loan. It can be financed. And this is huge. Why? Because if we have a buyer who doesn't have a lot of cash, and we have a seller who doesn't want to negotiate on closing costs, we still have a way to finance it, right? Makes sense? So here's the brand new funding fee chart. Matt, will you make this available for him, please? All right, you guys can download this. This is the latest chart that's available to us, right? So you're going to be representing a buyer. They are doing a purchase transaction. They are choosing to put 0 money down. So they're getting 100% finance, right? Everybody tracking? The first time they use their VA loan, that funding fee is, test question, 2.3%. 2.3%. Again, buyer can pay it, seller can pay it, or it can be financed. It can be rolled into the loan, right? Now, for every subsequent use, so house number 2, house number 10, whatever, this is where people start to say it's pretty expensive. It's 3.6%. But here's the trick, right? Can a veteran put money down on a VA loan? Guys, the answer is yes. You can put money down on any mortgage vehicle that's out there. But if you put money down on a VA loan, something really cool happens, right? So if somebody puts at least 5% down, the VA says they've now created a break point. And what happens is they drop that 3.6 to 1.65. This is huge. Why? Because this is a one-time fee. One and it's done. There is no PMI. There is no MIP. The VA loan, they pay it and it's over with. Makes sense? So here's what's crazy. The VA said of all the veterans that are out there and active duty service members who have an active mortgage, 44% of them have an FHA loan, the other government program, right? I'm not saying that an FHA loan is bad, but what I am saying is when you start to compare FHA to VA, there's some things you have to pay attention to, right? Number 1, from a down payment perspective, FHA has a mandatory down payment. It's at least 3.5%, right? Number 2, FHA has a fee that's due at closing. It's called upfront MIP. Sounds just like the funding fee, right? But here's how much that is. On an FHA loan, it's actually 1.75%. Where on a VA loan, it's 1.65%. Make sense? Here's what's crazy though. On the FHA loan, it has mortgage insurance on it, MIP. It has mortgage insurance on it now for the entire life of the loan. On an FHA loan, it does not fall off ever. Okay. This was a change that the government made to this program. I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years ago. It no longer falls off. Well, how much is it? It's about 85 basis points a year. So to put that into perspective, right? It's about a $270,000 house, right? Technically, that's about the average, or at one point in time it was, right? But a $270,000 house is roughly $200 a month in mortgage insurance. VA, we don't have to pay that. Well, here's the deal. $200 a month times 12 months a year is what? $2,400 a year in after-tax money thrown right into the trash can when it should have gone towards principal with the VA loan, right? Now, the average veteran stays in their house 7 to 10 years. Since I have to do public math, I'm going to go with 10. $2,400 times 10 years is what? That is $24,000 in additional fees that don't help the veteran at all, that are completely wasted because they went FHA instead of VA. Guys, there are so many people who fall into this trap. And one of the reasons why I harp on it so much is because you're looking at one of them. I fell right into this trap. When I got out of the military, my wife and I, we moved back to Houston, Texas, right? We were buying our first house. We were super excited. My loan officer and my real estate agent both told me no seller will ever accept a VA transaction. You should go FHA. It's a better mortgage vehicle for you anyways. So I trusted them. I believed them. I also know that it's my fault because I didn't do the research. I didn't do the homework. I kind of blindly followed others. But that particular decision in a relatively short period of time cost me over $17,000 in mortgage insurance and additional fees that I should have never had to pay. And I get really frustrated about it. Matt and I have known each other for the better part of 30 years. And he always tells me that I have to let you guys know, right? So at this point in time, me and my wife were both in college. We had our first baby on their way. I was about to start my real estate career. I didn't have any extra money like laying around to just waste. And yet every single month, I was just flushing it right down the drain. So it's not a good deal, right? So a veteran and VA makes way more sense than FHA. Now, the next slide that I'm about to show you is probably one of the most important slides you're going to see today. This is one I want you to pay attention. Ready? Here's what else the VA said. If the veteran has a service-connected disability, right? Service-connected means military-related disability. And it is, the VA has verified it. Then the VA funding fee is eliminated for life. If the veteran has a service-connected disability, they never have to pay the VA funding fee again. This is huge. Why? We've already done all of the research. We've seen it state by state. In almost every single state that's out there, it's between 30 and 34% of all the veterans inside that state have a service-connected disability. You have basically a 1/3 chance of whoever you're working with doesn't have to pay the funding fee. So I always say it this way, right? If somebody has PTSD, if somebody has tinnitus, so all of us who are in combat arms, tinnitus is a service-connected disability. It's ringing in the ears, right? Any type of disability that the VA recognizes, there's no loan on earth better than VA for them. Why? Number one, now we're no longer capped for the first time ever, right? We can also get 100% financing, so we don't have to have a down payment. We know that the interest rates are going to be competitive, right? We also know that it doesn't have mortgage insurance. That's huge. And now you just eliminated one of the only major closing costs associated with this loan. Guys, if somebody is a disabled veteran, they should be going VA all day, right? It's unbelievable that VA is not the first option for them to think about. So this is what came out January 1st of 2020, again, 3 years ago. The following individuals do not have to pay, very first sentence, a veteran receiving VA compensation for a service-connected disability. So they have to be receiving compensation. That the first disability rating that receives compensation is 10%. So if they have a 0% rating, then the VA has not recognized a service-connected disability. And then wants to pay attention to surviving spouse. A surviving spouse is somebody determined by the VA, not by us. The VA has to grant them surviving spouse status in order to eliminate the funding fee. And then this one's really cool. I like this one a lot. Service members who are on active duty. So they are still in uniform. If they've been awarded the Purple Heart, they are exempt from the funding fee as well. So for all of you who are by a military base, you need to ask, hey, have you been awarded a Purple Heart? Because this is huge, huge, huge. Makes sense? Cool. All right. Let's ask a quick poll question. Make sure you guys are awake. Q&A. It's not Q&A, man. It's in polls. Got it. All right. How many of you have an active VA transaction right now? How many of you are working with our military as we speak? And then secondly, the second question, and I want you to pay attention. I know the different branches in the room. Please pay attention. What is your favorite branch of the military? FYI, there is a right answer. There is a right answer. So, Matt, how many versions of the test? What, 19? Seems a bit excessive. Each one's harder than only Patton can pass the number 19 one. Did he write it? Whatever. Based on how you guys answer this question is what version of the test you get, right? So like, what is it? The first test is like Sesame Street, right? Yeah, Sesame Street all the way to what? Impossible? Yeah, got it. I hope you guys remember what branch of service Patton and I are in. It matters. It matters. This is for all the marbles at the end. And surprisingly, we have come behind for a dramatic victory. The Army has taken the first place. I see you guys don't want the hard test. I don't blame you. I appreciate those who love our Space Force. I get it. Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, you guys are all on the board today. So congratulations. But Army in a landslide, probably because of the test. You guys make sure you ask Patton questions. He gets bored in there. Keep him awake. All right, here we go. How does a veteran qualify? So here's what's crazy. When it comes to qualifying for a VA loan, the VA itself only cares about two real major things, right? Did the person serve in the military long enough? And basically, did they not get in trouble, right? This is what the VA cares about, okay? So from an amount of time, Matt, will you make this available for him, please? What's crazy, because you guys ask me this all the time, oh, somebody who's in the military, they qualify. Well, it really depends. It depends on when somebody served, on if they're eligible for a VA loan or not, right? So, for example, I'll take the Vietnam era. The Vietnam era is 1964 to 1975. How long did they have to serve to be eligible for a VA loan? 90 total days, right? So my dad, I grew up in a Marine household, right? My dad was a Vietnam era Marine, okay? Back then, back in this era and before, the VA loan used to expire, okay? And so most of them, there was a change that was made in the late 70s, early 80s that said the VA home loan no longer expires, and everybody who had used the program in the past, all of their benefits have been restored. But there was a problem. The VA forgot to tell everyone. So nobody knew that they could even use their VA loan if they served in this time period or before, right? So my dad actually purchased 4 different homes, never used his VA loan until the last one when I literally asked him, I said, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you not using a VA loan? And what did he tell me? Oh man, that thing expired, decades ago, right? He had no idea. I go and I do classes at VFWs, at American Legions, different military organizations, and a lot of the folks who attend these different classes, they think that this benefit's gone, it doesn't exist, they can't use it. You guys are going to have to help them understand that they do have the right to use this program, okay? Now, for the test, I'm going to talk about the Gulf War era. The Gulf War era is 1990 through today. So basically the last 30, now it's like 33 years. Got to do quick math. For the last 33 years, how long did somebody have to serve? That answer is 24 continuous months or 90 days deployed. 90 days deployed. So I want to break this down just a little bit. 90 days deployed, anything outside of CONUS, continental United States or continuous United States, is seen as a deployment. So yes, Alaska, Hawaii, those are deployments. When somebody gets on a naval ship and they head off into the ocean, that is considered deployment. If somebody spends 90 days outside of CONUS, they are eligible for a VA loan the rest of their life, right? If they never left the United States, that's where they need 24 months, okay? 24 months is the same thing as what? 2 years. I know when we get to the test, you guys will be like, oh, the test is wrong. The answer is not available. 24 months is 2 years. It's the same time period. I promise. Did you get the hint? Cool. All right, next group, active duty. Right? Can I use my benefit if I'm on active duty? That answer is yes. If they have 90 days of continuous service in the military. So after training, right? So if somebody goes to boot camp, basic training, whatever you want to call it, then they go to their job training, MOS school, right? Then they get assigned to a duty station. Once they've been at that duty station for 90 days, they're eligible for a VA loan the rest of the time they're in the military. When they exit the military is where they got to hit that 2-year rule or 90 days deployed. Make sense? So technically they have to qualify 2 different times. Make sense? And then my favorite group, National Guard and Reserves. National Guard and Reserves. How long do they take or how long do they have to serve? That answer is 6 years. 6 years in the National Guard Reserves. Or, and this is a gigantic or, right? It's not and, it's or 90 days of activated service, okay? This is huge. Why? Think about the last, 3 years now? COVID, all this stuff. Afghanistan, Iraq. I served with a ton of people in Afghanistan and Iraq who were National Guard and Reserves who went over there, right? Guys, in the last 3 years, we've had National Guard and Reserves activated all across the country, almost every major city. I'm in Texas. I think the National Guard is still at the border between Texas and Mexico and has been for 10 or 11 months now, right? Every last one of those people are now eligible for a VA loan, and they don't even know it. Matt, what was the stat? What did the article say? 62, right? 62,000 National Guard members are now eligible for a VA loan for the first time ever, just within like the last 18 months. That is huge. That's how many people earn this benefit, and none of them have a clue. So take some of the marketing material when we're done. Guys, take it to these National Guard posts and reserve bases. Drop your flyers off. People need to understand that they have access. Make sense? All right, secondly, to qualify. So we know that they got to serve the proper amount of time, right? And then everything else is basically they can't get in trouble. So if they have an honorable discharge, they're eligible for a VA loan. In some cases, they'll get a general discharge. This can be for a host of different things. Service-connected disability, again, would be automatic, guaranteed for a VA loan, right? Now, for the test, there's only two groups who don't qualify. What's the opposite of honorable? Dishonorable, right? You can forget about dis. And then my absolute favorite, bad conduct. Bad conduct. Do you know how bad you have to be worse than dishonorable, right? I mean, you got to bring it. You got to bring it. So if you're talking to somebody and you ask them, did you serve in the military? And they say yes. And you say, oh, what type of discharge do you have? And they say a bad conduct discharge. I wouldn't put them in my car, right? If they're going to fight the Marine Corps, I promise you they're going to try and fight me. I promise, right? Especially when they're stressed out. So Dwight Schrute, everybody, always up to no good. Love the guy. One of the greatest characters on earth. If you don't know who that is, talk to me after the class. There's some shows you need to be watching. All right. What is the absolute most important document that a veteran has to have in order to get a VA loan? This, of course, is the Certificate of Eligibility. Or backwards, there it is. Certificate of Eligibility, the COE. This is what it actually looks like. This tells us all kinds of things. It tells us, did somebody serve the proper amount of time? It tells us, does somebody have the correct discharge, right? Here's what it tells us, name, rank, serial number. It tells us, have they owned any houses in the past? What is the status of those houses? Do they have a service-connected disability, right? And all kinds of information. This, unfortunately, in the real estate world, and especially in the loan officer world, this sometimes is a very confusing piece of paper to read. And this is a lot of times where loan officers kind of fumble and they don't like doing VA loans because they don't understand this. It's all good. It's not super complicated, but here's some of the things we have to pay attention to. Number one, you cannot fund a VA loan without a certificate of eligibility. It is not allowed, right? So we have to get a COE. We have to get it as quickly as possible. My entire team is ex-military, and everybody on my team has direct access to the VA portal in order to pull a COE. We can get a certificate. It takes Patton, what am I guessing, a minute and a half? Minute and 10 seconds, something like that. It's unbelievably easy to get, guys. And we will also do this for free, right? I know that there's mortgage companies out there charging to get this, which I think is absolutely shameful. We don't charge, right? Patton can do this in a minute. It's super easy. Now, here's the deal. I know in this industry, here's what I hear. Technically, they're right. I just have to get the COE before we close. That is correct, but it's fundamentally wrong. We pull the COE on day one. Why? Because if there's a mistake on that certificate of eligibility, some mistakes can take 3 or 4 weeks to get corrected, okay? I've seen everything. Patton has probably seen a whole bunch. We talk about it all the time. I've seen misspelled names. I've seen wrong social security numbers. I've seen first-time homebuyers who have a whole list of foreclosures under them, right? Now their entire benefit is blown up. I've seen somebody who was 100% service-connected disability, and under that it said 0, which is crazy. So now I have to charge him the funding fee. I can't validate his income. All of these things turn into problems. That's where we have to go to the VA with him, and we have to get it corrected. Okay. The other thing that's on here, and it's starting to show its head more and more and more, they added this paragraph. I know you can't read it, so listen to me. This is huge. Here's what the VA said. VA said a whole bunch of veterans out there who did get VA loans got taken advantage of because their loan officer or their mortgage company didn't do it right. They had a service-connected disability, but yet they still got charged that funding fee. So the VA did something really cool. Right here, they said, if this veteran was taken advantage of, they have the right to call that number, email that, go to this website. They do a little bit of paperwork, and they can get an entire refund of that funding fee because they should have never had to pay it in the first place. That's really awesome. That's the VA doing right by people. And I know a whole bunch of people who've had to go do that because the previous company didn't do it right. Make sense? So other things, inspections. Biggest thing that's going to come up is the WDO, wood destroying organisms, right? It's not just termites, but that's usually what we call it in the South, right? But the house has to be free and clear of any wood destroying organisms, all right? So this is a mandatory inspection for almost all of the country. Now, here's the question. Who has to pay for it? And I know some of you are saying it is the seller's responsibility. Guess what? That recently changed. Matt, will you make that available? So Matt's putting up the PDF up there. June of last year, June of 22, the VA said that the termite inspection is mandatory. Termite inspection, WDO inspection, whatever. And it's a negotiable item. We don't care who pays for it. Just get it done. Secondly, if the house has a water well. If the house has a water well, it's mandatory that it get inspected, and it's mandatory that it pass. If it's the primary source of water for the house, we have to be able to provide clean drinking water for the family. I tend to agree with that, right? Everything else is subject to the inspection or the appraisal, okay? If the appraiser goes out there and sees an issue with the septic system, they may require a further inspection be done. But if the appraiser doesn't say anything, guys, everything else is a negotiable item between the buyer and the seller. Make sense? So depending, I know I saw a whole bunch of you guys. Some of you guys are up north, Cleveland, Ohio, right there. I saw you. That is where I am from. I am a Browns fan and a Buckeye, but I live in Houston, Texas now. Some areas have massive termite issues. Some don't. So everybody who's in the green, disregard. Everybody who's in the red, get ready, right? I'm in Houston, Texas. We have termites. They're like pets. My house gets inspected 4 times a year to make sure that I don't have issues. Crazy. I know some of you guys are like, did he just say he was a Buckeye? Yeah, it was really painful on New Year's Eve. Really painful. But they did good. And I have family in Georgia, and I heard all about it. So there you go. All right, here we go. Quick question. Make sure you guys are awake. It's a 2-part question. First part is, how many transactions were you a part of last year? Just say the last 12 months. And then second part of that question is, how many VA transactions? I have to know how many you did in order to understand how many VA you did. And it's okay. It's a new year. We are live. It's January 4th, 12:30 Central Time. It's crazy. What's more crazy is it's like 80 degrees outside. January. It's okay though. We'll freeze. All right, so good. Hey, some of you guys have done a lot of VA. That's cool. I like that. That is a good sign. All right. Other rules we have to pay attention to. Occupancy. One of the things that we have to pay attention to with a VA loan is that it has mandatory occupancy, meaning the veteran has to live there. The veteran or their spouse must move into this home. Okay. They have 60 days from closing to occupy that home. The big question that we get is, how long do they have to stay? Right. That answer per the VA is 1 year. They're expected to buy this house. They mandatorily have to move into this house. And then they're expected to stay for 1 year. I guess they're not expected to buy it. I got it. I caught it. Right. But they are expected to stay for 1 year. After 1 year, that's when they can convert it to a rental property. That's when they can sell it. That's when they can, do whatever they want to do. But they have to live there for at least 1 year. So on the test, when I ask you, can you own multiple homes with multiple VA loans? That answer is yes, but you have to occupy each one for at least a year, and there's different rules that apply for qualification. Mainland county loan limits come into effect. I won't kill you guys with that, but understand that there are rules with owning multiple houses with a VA loan. Cool? What can they not do? No land. You cannot buy land with a VA loan, period, right? You can buy land with a land or lot loan. You can buy land in cash, and then you can use the VA loan to construct a house, but you can't just buy raw land with a VA loan. Why? There's nothing to occupy. Make sense? So what can they do? Normal subdivision style stick built house, however you want to say it, right? Condos, townhouses, almost all condos and townhouses are now approved. Occasionally there's some that won't be, but the greatest majority of them are. Multiple units. They can do up to a fourplex, right? So 1 to 4, right? Family home. They can do up to a fourplex. They still have to live in one, but they can rent the other 3 out immediately. Okay. So duplex, triplex, fourplex. They can do all of that. Mobile/manufactured homes. Yes, that's VA eligible. And then you guys ask me this all the time. New construction. Yes, VA eligible. What can they not do? Commercial property. Forget about it, right? Anything not typical for the area, like if it has wheels and an engine and can move, not happening, right? Raw land, undeveloped lots, not happening. And then investment homes. They cannot go buy a rental house. They have to live there first and then turn it into a rental after 1 year. Make sense? Saw that driving to Florida. They were actually really cool. We met them at the gas station. There was a new husband and wife. They're from Canada, and they were driving the entire United States in that. I lost my mind. Lost my mind. All right, scenario. So this would have been probably first quarter of last year, somewhere around that second quarter of last year. We had a gentleman who was going in to buy a house. He was making He was making a full price offer on the house. He was informed that his transaction would be considered more favorably if he was to get a conventional loan versus a VA loan. So this person asked us. They said, "Hey, can you just break down what the difference is on a conventional loan versus a VA loan? I want to, make sure I'm not making a mistake." So we did. So we showed them what this thing would actually look like. It was a $500,000 house, conventional versus VA. Both were going to be 30-year loans. At the time, the conventional rate was 5.99. VA was 4.875. Remember, I told you VA is very competitive, and a lot of times it wins. Here, it's killing it, right? Now, what else do we have to worry about? Well, on a conventional loan, he's now got a down payment responsibility of 5%, which is $25,000, which he had, but he didn't really want to do that. 0 with VA. Now, here's what's crazy. He's mortgaging $475,000 versus $500,000, but his payment's $200 higher. Why? Because of the interest rate, right? And then what? Then you got to add in something called mortgage insurance. Does a VA loan have PMI? No, it doesn't. But conventional loan does. And that's going to be $269 a month. So when he said, what does this really look like? When you start to add everything up, if he goes conventional versus VA, he's going to end up paying $34,000 in mortgage insurance that he should have never had to pay, right? The additional interest on that loan was going to be $71,000. Then you have the negative impact of $25,000 coming out of his checking account, which he did not want to do. The total difference for him to go conventional so that his offer would be considered more favorably is $130,000. So we got asked to get involved because obviously with this kind of money, you start to look at things, you go, whew, that's not a good decision for me, right? So we got involved. Patton has to do it all the time. We reach out to the listing agent, the homeowners, and we started explaining this scenario. And just like you guys, just like what were you, like 78% of you guys have military in your own family? The homeowner said the exact same thing. He wasn't really nervous about a VA loan. He was just told, don't do it because of, that's what he was told, right? So we were allowed to go VA. Everybody was worried about the appraisal. Appraisal came back fine. Everything was normal. It met value. There was no extraordinary conditions. It was all just the VA stigma, when in all actuality, it was going to be a gigantic negative impact. But wait, there's more. It's not truly $130,000. What is the opportunity cost of losing $130,000? Here's what this really looked like, right? So let's say that he opened up an investment account and he stuck $25,000 in that, right? And every single month for 10 years, he put in $467 every month. That's the difference in the interest rate and the difference in mortgage insurance. After PMI falls off, he would have only put in $200 a month for the next 20 years. Let's say he invested that in the S&P 500, which has averaged 8% for the last 50 years, right? No, we know these numbers. What is the difference on him wasting that money going to a bank versus investing in himself? Total difference is $823,000, guys. This is insane to me. That's the difference on what these different mortgage programs really look like. And that's what we have to pay attention to make sure that we're putting people in the right mortgage vehicle and we're not setting them up for failure. Make sense? All right. VA guidelines. We have 2 sections left, and it's test time. We're done. We're right on time. How about that? We will finish about 10 minutes after the hour. So here's how this really works, okay? The VA cares about 2 major things. Did this person serve the proper amount of time, and did they not get in trouble, right? Are we tracking? What they really do is the VA monitors the banks. They monitor the lending institutions, and they watch us like a hawk. What they tell us is this. The VA tasks every single lender with evaluating the risk of lending money. It is the lender's decision on who qualifies or who doesn't. We have to establish protocols for how we are going to approve somebody or not approve them. Make sense? This is where it gets crazy, though. Every single lender evaluates risk differently. So I say it this way. There are thousands of different lending institutions that can do VA loans, and I'm also going to tell you that there are thousands of different VA loans out there. That's insane to me, right? This is where things get really crazy. Because you would think because it's a government loan, everything should be step by step, left, right. That's how it works, right? That is false. Every single bank does it their own way. This is why your client may walk into the first bank who says that they are denied and then walk into the second and now they're magically approved. Everybody does it different. The VA does say that we have to pay attention to 4 major things: credit, income, assets, and then obviously that property appraisal to make sure that the home is worth what we're paying for it, right? So from a credit perspective, every single lending institution when doing a VA loan has to look at credit. We have to look at their FICO score, okay? This is not Credit Karma. We have to actually pull their credit from the 3 bureaus and we have to look at their FICO score. Make sense? Credit is nothing more than a snapshot of how somebody pays their bills and what debt obligations they have out there. Are there any whammies, okay? Credit ranges from 300 to 850. Here's where it gets crazy. Every lending institution chooses what credit score will be their minimum, right? Some lending institutions say you have to have a 700 or better to get a VA loan. A lot of lending institutions say you need to be around a 640 or better to get a VA loan. We at Loan Depot on the VA team, we have the ability to go below that. It's how much risk are we willing to take? The VA says that we have to put people in a good situation. We cannot set them up for failure. This is why everybody has to pay attention to this, right? Secondly, the VA says, how are they going to repay the loan? We have to verify how they're going to repay it. We can use all kinds of income sources. Disability. Y'all ask me this all the time. Service-connected disability? Yes. That is guaranteed income from the federal government that comes in on the first of the month for the rest of their life. Yes, we can use that. Investments, annuities, retirement, all of those can be used, and then it's their job, right? Here's where every mortgage company is different. How long does a veteran have to be on their job in order to get a VA loan? It's up to the mortgage company, right? Some mortgage companies say 6 months. A lot of mortgage companies say 2 months. Some mortgage companies say give you 2 paycheck stubs, right? Some mortgage companies say, if you give me a piece of paper that says you're about to have a guaranteed job, we might be able to consider that, right? It's every single bank is different, right? Assets. So listen to me on this. I understand that you can get 100% financing with a VA loan. I get it. That does not mean that there won't be closing costs, okay? There are things, there's still cost of doing business. One closing cost they might have is the VA funding fee, right? Guaranteed closing costs are going to be homeowners insurance, taxes, maybe some transfer fees, minor title company fees, possible mortgage company fees. All of those things have to be accounted for. How are they going to pay for it? Gift funds. The VA does allow for gift funds. Gift funds come from a family member or somebody who's like family, okay? Not every mortgage company will accept gift funds. That's where things get different, okay? And then ultimately the appraisal / property evaluation, right? Is the home actually worth it? They're going to compare the comps, going to go through all these different things, make sure that there's no whammies out there, no active termite infestation, things of that nature. I don't want to go too deep into appraisals because some areas are notoriously have had challenges. Most areas, it is not an issue at all. Like appraisals have been like really easy for us to get done. So there's that. All right. So how do we win VA deals? This is a question that I get all the time. And so there's several different thoughts on how to win VA deals and how to understand VA better, right? Very first thing you have to understand is Tidewater. Tidewater is a low appraisal, right? I have not seen this as much as I did earlier in my career, but it does come up from time to time. The VA loan is dramatically different than any other mortgage that's out there. Why? Because it allows the real estate agent and the mortgage company about 48 hours. If a low appraisal is going to come in, so the appraiser went out and they're coming back and they're saying, hey, it's going to be short. You have 48 hours to find me better comps or material facts about that house to help justify y'all's contract price. This is the only mortgage that allows you to do this, okay? And so during Tidewater, time is of the essence. The more the real estate agents can help, the better. A lot of this is extraordinary, right? But number two, I want you guys to understand this. We don't see this all the time. Tidewater is not every single situation. But when it does come up, sometimes we can't get the price increased. Well, here's one of those other stigmas out there that I want to go ahead and settle. Not all veterans are broke. Okay, I hear this like all the time. There's plenty of people out there who served in our country who move on to other professions, just like myself and Patton and other people on our team, or are very financially sound. A lot of people I know who are active duty in the military are very financially savvy and educated. So there's like this stigma that none of us have two nickels to rub together, and that's false. Well, on a VA loan, let's say that appraisal comes in short. Okay, so let's say it's a $400,000 house and it appraises for $390,000. Okay, so there's $10,000 gap. Most people think there's only two things you can do, right? Number one, the seller has to reduce their price. That is an option, right? Number two, the contract's dead because you can't get financing. That is an option. But there's also number three and number four. Did you know the veteran has the right to pay the difference between the appraisal and the contract price? So in that $10,000 scenario, a veteran may choose to pay that $10,000 because they don't want to start over with the entire house buying situation all over again, right? They'd rather just pay it and move on. They also have the right to negotiate. Hey, I'm going to pay $5,000. You drop the price $5,000 and everybody's happy. Let's move on. All of these are different options. Don't just assume that if it doesn't meet appraisal, the deal is dead. We have room. We have things that we can do. Make sense? Secondly, renovation deals. This is awesome. Renovation is awesome. Okay. We have saved a whole bunch of deals with renovation loans. So yes, the VA has a renovation program. Loan Depot helped build it with the VA. We are experts in this. We do it all the time. We are not capped, right? Some mortgage companies can do $30,000 and they're maxed out. We are not. So I'm going to tell you a couple stories on how we've saved deals. Patton had, I want to say it was a $1.7 million transaction in San Francisco. House was under contract. Inspector went out there, massive termite damage on the front of the home. Okay, so it didn't pass inspection. Seller said, hey, I told you we're not fixing anything. So what did we do? That deal was going to die. What did we do? We flipped it to a renovation loan. Okay, renovation loan, we turned it over. We had a contractor go out there. They get the bid on how much work needed to be done, and it was, it was pretty. It was a lot from what I remember. It was like $30,000 or $40,000 worth of work, right? Told that to the VA. VA approved it, right? We closed that transaction on time, so zero effect to the seller. After closing, contractor goes out, does all the repairs. VA shows up, gives us a seal of approval. We moved right along. Done. Saved a $1.7 million deal with a renovation deal. Number two, let's say, the one scenario that we have, the veteran had been looking in this particular community for a long time. There was a part of town that they wanted to live in, couldn't find anything, kept getting outbid, whatever. But there was one house. It was the ugly duckling. Nobody was writing offers on that house, right? It needed a roof. It needed flooring. It needed some remodel work, all of that stuff. We went in with a renovation deal, right? Brought the contractor out there, saw the roof, saw whatever, AC, flooring, all of that stuff. We used renovation. They closed that house. They went in, renovated the entire home. Then the VA came out, gave it the seal of approval. Another deal done. It was awesome. We use this all the time. Patton is he's an expert. He's done a bunch of these. He has saved deals with these. He's found homes with these. If you know anybody who needs renovation deals, that guy knows it. He knows it better. He knows it better than most. I'll put it to you that way. All right. How do you meet veterans? I hear this all the time. Guys, you got to play in traffic. If you want to meet veterans, you got to play in traffic, right? Going to recruiting stations. That's a good way to meet veterans, right? You're not looking for the recruit. You're looking for the recruiter. Make sense? Here's how a recruiting station works. 1/3 of the recruiting station turns over every year. They go back to their unit and another third comes in. What does that equal? That means 1/3 of the Navy recruiting station is going to sell a house and another third is going to what? Buy a house. And that happens every single year. So Navy, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, all the same. It's a government order on how that actually works. So recruiting stations, National Guard posts, reserve centers, VFWs, American Legions, different military organizations. Guys, I'm in Houston, Texas. I don't have a massive military base really that close to me, but yet there's 300,000 homes in Harris and surrounding counties that have veterans in them. We're everywhere. Play in traffic, get information out there, market to them the right way, right? They don't be that guy, but ultimately, you better work with people who understand VA deals. Why do I think so many people are not using VA loans? Because people didn't understand how they actually worked, right? You guys work really hard from a real estate perspective, because I've been a realtor for a long time. You guys work really hard to build your client base and get to work with people. It would be terrible to have a deal go dead because they didn't understand how the program works. That's why I say work with my team, work with us. Loan Depot has incredible, loan officers as well. Some of them are here today. Thank me for my service. I hear this all the time, right? Thank you for your service. I'm cool with it. A lot of people are. Understand some people are not. Just so you know, I am. Most people I know, we appreciate it. In my opinion, if you truly want to thank us for our service, lead with a servant heart, help us accomplish the mission, and ultimately do not deny me the earned benefit of serving my country and being allowed to buy a home with a VA loan. Guys, this is one of the greatest things that we actually get. And everybody who served our country, there's 22 million of us out there who have this right. Be an advocate. Help them. If you really want to thank me, don't deny me what I've earned. Make sense? Guess what? You're done. Run away. Y'all ready? Matt, which thing are we going with? Which test? Like number 3? Okay. Super easy. Phew. Where is the test? There it is. I'm losing my own mind here. All right, here we go. You guys ready? Let's fly through this. All right, what is a VA loan? This is not a trick question. What is a VA loan? I'm not asking how much can you finance. I'm asking what it actually is. Is it a 25% guarantee from the government? Or is it a free loan from the government that you never have to repay? That would be cool too, right? We should ask. We should ask them. Can we just get free houses? Just be done with it? 22 million of them, please? Like 22 million is like almost the entire population of Texas. Like everybody. I think there's like 26 million in Texas. Everybody. Free houses for everyone. All right, here we go. The answers are coming in. We're on like a 7-second delay. So if you see me duck, you get 7 seconds. 80% of you guys got this correct. It is a 25% guarantee. It is a 25% guarantee. All right, during which war was a VA loan created? World War I or World War II? Which is a tongue twister, by the way. Like, you got to be ready. You're going to be on your A game if you're going to rip off World War I or World War II. It's not that easy. I work hard for you guys. Did you guys ask Patton a lot of questions? You should have. The guy's like the man. He's as a individual loan officer, he's like he's for sure top 10 in the country, probably top 5. The guy understands VA really well. Really well. All right, 92% of you got this correct. Sorry, 90% of you got this correct. It is World War II. World War II. I will assume the 10% who missed it are the same 10% who showed up late to a military course. Do the benefits expire? Does the VA home loan benefits expire? As a former drill sergeant, showing up late is an awesome opportunity to do some calisthenics. It's a good chance to relearn some stuff. Nothing like muscle failure to remind you to show up early. I do. I remember doing all kinds of cool stuff as a drill sergeant. I loved it. It was, I enjoy leading and teaching and instructing and things like that. I was the funny drill sergeant though, right? Drill Sergeant Fowler, he was the crazy one. Like sometimes he kind of scared me, but I loved it. Like I told jokes and it was fun making Joe laugh. Joe is our term for the troops. All right, here we go. 93% of you got this correct. Does the VA home loan benefit expire? The answer, of course, is no. No. All right, can a veteran use the VA home loan benefit more than once? Can the veteran use the benefit more than once? That's probably one of the most common questions I get. Can I use it more than once? Like a lot of people think it's a one and done program. So you'll hear people tell them, oh, just don't go VA. You want to use that for your forever home. False. Use it as many times as you wish. I noticed that there's like one person here who's getting every one of the questions wrong. Solid performance, by the way. Yes, 94% of you got this right. All right, can a veteran have multiple VA loans at the same time? Can they have multiple VA loans at the same time? So you guys will get to see Patton here in a minute again. He used to fly Blackhawks. He was stationed in Korea like the year before I got there. And then when I was in Korea, I was rappelling out of Blackhawks. We were so close to crossing paths in the military. He's a stud, though. West Point grad. Guy's pretty sharp. All right. Yeah, 94% of y'all got that right. All right. When is the funding fee paid? When is it paid? So this is not a disabled veteran. This is somebody who does have to pay the funding fee. When is the money actually transferring? At closing or prior to closing or whatever Matt wrote? Your answers here, Matt. Some of your answers here are a little bit off. You got like double negatives in here. Always, never, but sometimes. We don't know. It's crazy. Always prior to closing. Wrong. It's at closing. You guys know that. At closing. All right. What is the funding fee for the first time use? All right. So this person is not a disabled veteran. They're getting 100% financed. What is the funding fee for the first time use? So we know that this can be paid three ways. It can be paid by the buyer, by the seller, or it can be rolled into the loan. But how much is it? How much is it? Let's see. Let me go look at my attendance roster here. A lot of you guys here. All right. You guys struggled on this one because all three answers have been chosen. The answer is, all right, cool. Most of y'all got it right. The answer is 2.3%. 2.3%. Now think through this. Okay, I'm going to help you. It was 2.3%. If the veteran puts 5% down, how much does the VA funding fee, hint, hint, reduce to? If it was 2.3%, and we know that it has to go down, there's only one logical answer, even for the guy who continues to choose the wrong answer. Very solid performance. Even you would have to understand that it has to be 1.65, right? I know. Like it'd be hard. You'd be hard pressed on this one to answer it wrong. But I'm waiting. I'll give you time. Oddly enough, Matt, 100% got that question right. How about that? How about that? How about that? All right, here we go. 1.65. During the Gulf War era, if the veteran has served 90 total days, are they eligible for a VA loan? There you go. 90 days. 90 days. Last question. We're done. We're out of here. During the Gulf War era, if the veteran has served 90 total days, are they eligible for a VA loan? What do you think, Matt? Clean sweep? Huh? I know. It feels like it's a trick question. Maybe it is. I will tell you right now, the greatest majority of you did not get this right. In fact, I'm almost inclined to say all of you. But one of you saved it. One of you got this correct. During the Gulf War era, is it 90 total days? False. That is the Vietnam era. The Gulf War era is how long? 2 years or 90 days what? Deployed. It was a trick question. Matt got you. It's his favorite question. He likes to mess with people. Quite frankly, I think it's not a cool move to write trick questions, Matthew. Congratulations. You have passed the Masterclass, right? So this is what I did in the military. I was an infantry mortarman. I absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, I destroyed my knee. I've had 4 major knee surgeries, pending number 5. I don't say it for sympathy or sorrow or anything like that. I say this because most of the people you're going to talk to in the military, you wouldn't have a clue that they have a service-connected disability. You can't see tinnitus. You can't see ringing in the ears or things like that. And so my point is that as you start to represent people in the military, be thoughtful, lead with education. Say things like, did you know that if you have a service-connected disability, you can save a lot of money on your VA loan? You should, like, things like that. Lead with education. People tremendously appreciate that, and it's a great way to really connect with your buyer at a different level, right? Guys, I can't say it enough. My team, Patton, the VA team, Loan Depot as a company, we want to earn your business, and I do mean earn it. Okay, I believe real heavily in what we do. We do it the right way. We work hard as a company, as a team, all the way down to Patton as my manager. Truly believe in doing what's right for those who served our country. And I promise you that as you continue to work with us, we will we'll show you what that actually looks like. Okay. My VA team at Loan Depot is extraordinary. I've got several people who've graduated from West Point. Just awesome human beings, to include Patton. Here's Patton's information. Matt is going to be sending all this to you, and I'll put this back up in just a second. Guys, we can help with everything. VA loans, renovation loans, conventional loans, FHA loans, USD loans. If you like how we do business, we want to earn all your business, okay? And then ultimately, I get a lot of questions about refinances. Yes, I can help you with refinancing as well, and we can do this across the entire country. Okay, so if you have a client, you have a family member, maybe it's yourself, because I know there's a lot of veterans that are in this room. We can help you anywhere in this country, regardless if you're buying a home, if you're refinancing, if you got questions about renovation, we can do all that. So again, my name is David Smith. I'm one of the senior leaders on the VA team. This is my information. More importantly, let's get Patton in here with Meatball. Matt, will you join us? And Patton, what'd you see, man? What did we miss?
So if you guys hear some grunting and stuff, it's not me. It's my
Meatball.
dog Meatball.
Meatball.
All right, so a couple questions here. Well, we'll talk about loan assumptions in a second, but one thing I wanted to say to everybody is, like David was talking about, different VA loans for, every different organization is essentially doing a different VA loan, and that's true. And the reality is that the analogy I use is that a VA loan is kind of like playing golf. Okay, if you're a golfer and you golf once a year, you're probably going to suck at it. You're going to be hitting the ball all over the place. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be miserable for your whole foursome. The buyer, the seller, that's your foursome, right? The agents, and it's going to probably be miserable for the foursome behind you and the one behind them. And if you golf, let's say 3 times a week, you're going to be ripping the ball down the fairway every time. You're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be an enjoyable round of golf. That's kind of what VA loans are like. There are some things that are different on VA loans than a regular conventional or FHA loan. And if you don't know your way around that, you're going to probably have a miserable time with it. So there are a lot of loan officers out there that dabble in VA loans. They might do one a year. They're going to suck at it, just frankly, or they might. You might get the loan done. It may go okay, but it may not be a very enjoyable experience. Kind of like that lousy round of golf. And so, I did last year. Well, I don't know how many I did in 2022. 2021, I did about 300 VA loans. 2022, probably close to that, about 275 or something. I don't know what the final number was, but VA loans are what I do, and I'll rip the ball down the fairway every time. Now, real quick, somebody asked about loan assumptions. I mean, a VA loan assumption is a great thing. That's going to go through. The way that happens is it goes through the current lender. So whoever holds that current, the person that everybody has to go to and get that assumption approved. It's not a short process. I mean, think more like 90 days instead of a 30-day close. And then the biggest problem that we have with loan assumptions right now is that everybody's got this, a ton of equity in their homes. If they bought their house more than a year ago or so, they might have $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of equity in this house. And their loan's at 2.25%, but they're trying to sell it. They got a $300,000 loan and they're trying to sell that house for $500,000. Whoever's assuming that loan has to make up that difference, that $200,000. And there is not a loan product that will allow you to do, the assumption's only for the $300,000. Right. So there's not a loan product out there that's going to let you go to 100% financing and put a second mortgage in for that other 200, let's say. So that's what you're going to run into with those loan assumptions, unless it was a house that was purchased relatively recently and hasn't got a ton of equity in it. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm sorry, my dog's an idiot.
All right, Matt. Matt, can you tell us what's going on, what everybody's getting, what's happening, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, no problem. I love meatball. Everybody go up to the top of the chat box. You're going to see a tab called Handouts. In that tab, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff that I just made available. E-benefits fact sheets, VA property requirements.
Don't print that.
Don't print it. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Go ahead and grab that. I also emailed it to you, and I'm sending you guys a text message right now. We really appreciate everybody coming. We've only got 2 more things that we need to send out. One is Patton's contact information, which is, here's a QR code for it if you guys are.
Grab your phone, open your camera, scan the QR code. That's one of the cool things we learned during COVID.
Yeah, for those of you that are copy and paste people, there's a little blue box at the top of the chat box that has Patton's information in it. You also got it with the email that I just sent and the text message I just sent. So you're not getting away from Patton today. That's for sure. Let's see. We're going to let this sit here for a second, and then we're going to do the Facebook group.
And I'll throw this out there, too, for everybody that's attending this is, just because you're not using me as a lender, let's say you're a seller agent and you've accepted a VA loan and you have questions on it. Don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call me. I answer my phone pretty much 24/7 to my wife's great chagrin. And so, call me, shoot me a text message. I'll answer your questions, and I'll probably give you the right answer right off the top of my head. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever.
Facebook?
On to Facebook.
All right, join our Facebook group. These are for all of the trained real estate agents that are out there. You're welcome to join this group. Cool group. They ask a lot of questions. Patton, myself, some of the other team members, we try to monitor this pretty closely. So if you got VA questions, ask it in there. We'll get you the right answer.
Yeah, sometimes we broadcast this class live in there too, in case you missed it, just as a refresher.
Yeah, we just did today, right?
Yeah, no, today we went live in the veteran to veteran group.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Yep.
Yeah, we have an all military group too that has like 5,000 veterans in it too. So for those who served, email me after the class and I'll get you the link to join that. It's a cool group, really cool group.
I could probably find it right now. Hang on.
Veteran.
Yeah.
If you served, and it asks you the knockout questions, if you did not serve, I will not let you in.
Oh, right there.
There you go. Veteran.
Well received.
Ooh, look at that. How about that? Cool. Well, guys, I hope that you found this valuable. I know that it's early in the year and we're looking for something to do, but I can't say it enough. We want to be a resource for you. If it's just to ask questions, ask questions. But I appreciate everybody being here. I sincerely hope that you found this valuable. From Patton, Matt, myself, thank you. Can't say it enough. So, Patton, Matt, thank you guys for being here as well. And I hope everybody has a fantastic year because we're off to a good start.
So, veteran group.
Hey, Pete, the veteran group is called Veteran to Veteran in Facebook. I think Matt can link that in. Oh, he did link it.
Yeah, it's in. Matt put it in the chat. Veteran to Veteran.
Well, I emailed.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you coming.
All right, guys. Webinar's ending. See you.